Hey, you're now listening or watching the Halos in the Infield podcast with your hosts Todd Fox and Fernando the Lone Star Halo, brought to you in part by Noble L Works, just outside of Anaheim Stadium and the Pond, or the Honda Center, where you can get drink specials just by mentioning Halos in the Infield. Also brought to you in part by 714 Tickets. 714 Tickets is a place to go to get 10% off of any ticket purchase just by also mentioning HITI, Halos in the Infield. Now enjoy the show. Hey, indeed. Welcome into another episode of Halos in the Infield, the podcast version with your host, Todd Fox, and the other host of the show,
the Lone Star Halo.
Ooh, I like the little hands there. The Happy Hands Club right there from Napoleon Dynamite. I like that.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, the Happy Hands Club, where he was like closing his eyes, where he like flapped his wings.
Yeah. The guy wanted to be like 10,000 other places than right there. But it might be how.
Hey, just like Anthony Rendon.
Oh, there you
go. You have Tony Two Hands and Napoleon Dynamite, and now we got Tony Two Stints on the IL.
That would actually be an entertaining clubhouse, actually, with them going at it with No Habla Espanol and Napoleon with his hand gestures, but and his dancing. So can't forget about that.
Yeah, dude, they should do a commercial where Rendon is dressed up as Pedro. He's like, vote for Artie.
Yeah,
vote for Artie, handing out like lanyards or what's the big thing with Taylor Swift fans? Friendship bracelets.
Yeah, friendship.
Vote for Artie.
Actually, and remember in that movie, Pedro shaves his head. That would be hilarious if Rendon shaved his head. That'd be great.
He doesn't have the long hair right now, does he? He does.
He does have long hair, yeah.
He shaved it after 1 year, right? With the Angels. I know he had long hair in the COVID year, I think.
Yeah.
But I could have sworn he shaved his or buzzed his head once.
Yeah, he might have like given it a good clip, but not completely. And I know he's kept the goatee the entire time. But
he has, yes, he has.
So let's talk about what we're going to talk about today. At the very end, I think we're going to sprinkle in some Otani, memorabilia or things at the store that Fernando did. He went over to the Angels team store and he has a report for those who haven't made it out there yet on what he saw just a couple weeks ago. And then we're also going to talk about today some spring training games. We're going to get into the first few games of how the Angels played. We're going to talk about our good friend Ty Buttrey, how he's making a good impression over there with Seattle. Looks like he's going to make the club. And we're going to talk about a couple other players and news and notes to do with the Angels. So let's get started on what do you want to get started on the recent games here for the Angels?
Yeah, so obviously we're still very early on in spring training, right? I mean, the Angels have played, I believe, 3 spring training games. You have a couple of other teams that have played, 5 or 6 by now. Obviously, the Dodgers and Padres got started a little bit early with spring training because they have to go to Korea.
Mm-hmm.
Is it North Korea? Is it South Korea? South Korea. They got to go to South.
I don't think they'd come back if they went to North Korea.
Yeah,
they'd be stuck there.
They got to go to South Korea to play, and I believe they're opening the baseball season this year, which is why they started early.
Yeah.
So when the Angels opened up spring training against the Dodgers on Saturday, that was the Dodgers' like 3rd or 4th spring training game. The Angels was their first. So we got to see it being at Tempe Diablo. We got to see some of the starters and what's projected to be more than likely the opening day lineup.
Mm-hmm.
I think you and Rob had mentioned that, right? That's you did a whole episode where like that was supposed to be the projected lineup, correct?
Yeah, we went down the list about what it was going to be. It was going to be pretty much Sandoval, Renifo at the top. You had, Renifo first. I'm sorry, Moniak split with him depending on who pitches. Then you would have Sandoval second, Shamwow, Trout 3, Rendon for some reason 4, and then you would have 5 Taylor Ward. 6 was I believe Ohapi. And 7 was who am I missing right here?
Adell.
Adell or Hicks, and then you had Neto. So,
what's your opinion on having Moniak lead off? We saw him have some stretches of success with that, but do you like Shamwow leading off better, or do you like Moniak because he does have the ability to put over the fence, but he isn't strictly a power guy?
What I would emphasize on him this year is to be taking more pitches like he did late in the season last year. Like at the very end, he wasn't trying to drive it too much, because when Moniak's hot, he's not too aggressive. He's not swinging for the fences. He's kind of like just waiting the pitch for the pitches to come to him like he should. Someone told him along the lines that he was Ken Griffey at some point last year and everything had to go over the fence. If he takes the Shohei approach and just let the ball come to your bat and put it in play, those two guys, if they keep that mentality along with Renifo, because Renifo's got that pop, he's got the double mentality. If those guys are getting on and working walks or at least giving pitches for guys like Trout and Rendon to see next, it's going to make the pitcher's job a lot harder. So I do like those guys up at the top.
Yeah, a guy like Shanuel has to be at the very top or the lineup, or he's got to be at the very bottom, like the number 9 type of cat.
Correct.
You can't have a guy like Shanuel batting cleanup, but then again, when Rendon's batting cleanup, anything's possible. I've never liked Rendon as a cleanup hitter, and that's not anything because of how I feel about him as a player. Mm-hmm. I don't like him as a cleanup guy because, in theory, a guy like him is a tone setter, right? He's not a speed demon. I would kind of like a guy like Rendon if he's healthy and he's on batting second, in my opinion. Or potentially, if it wasn't for the possibility of having Moniak or Shanuel as a leadoff hitter, I could even see a world where you didn't have those guys and like Rendon was leading off. But obviously, in a world where you have those two better options, you bat him second, in my opinion. I don't like him cleaning up.
Yeah, I don't like it either. I think I have a little theory about that for right now. Okay. I don't think it's going to last very long unless he really balls out, bro. But my thing is, I believe Ron's making it feel like he's playing head games with Rendon because he knows Rendon plays head games in general. So I believe my theory is that he's saying, hey, we know we want the 2019 Anthony Rendon who was locked in. And where did he bat? He bat third or fourth. You're going to bat fourth behind Mike Trout. How about that? Can you live up to those standards? Because I believe in you. And I think if that's getting anywhere into Rendon's head, maybe he does turn it around. He doesn't put up 2019 numbers, obviously. I don't think he's capable of, but like you've said before and I've said before, if he could just put up decent numbers, that's a big plus for this team.
I mean, we've seen him bat cleanup for the Angels before.
Yeah, but very uninspired, though.
Oh, yes.
I think Ron's trying some mental tactics. I really do.
What did you think about Joe Adell in his opening game? I was very impressed. The thing that I really liked that I've heard from Ron Washington is that a guy like Joe Adell has power, but Joe Adell needs to learn to use his power to all fields. We know that he can pull the ball over the fence, but what a lot of people confuse is the term power hitter, meaning only home runs. You can have a high slugging percentage because you drive doubles and triples, especially with a guy like Adell's speed. I mean, we saw him leg out a triple.
Yeah, he's very fast.
Exactly. So why are you always just trying to pop it over the fence? Joe Adell, that's what we want to see. Be a slapper. There's no problem being a slapper, getting a second. And you know what? You're going to get some triples because of your speed. Nothing wrong with that at all. Take advantage of it. Use your speed. And you know what? Sometimes that ball is going to go over the fence. I don't need Joe Adell to be a 20 to 30 home run guy. Give me 15 home runs. Give me a batting average over 270. And when you get on the base, run the base path like Satan himself.
Yeah, and he's definitely capable of it. And I think Ron was boasting the fact that he put on 15 pounds of straight muscle. But he wasn't looking at as when he described it as, oh, he's putting on 15 pounds of muscle to power the ball over the fence. It was meant to strengthen his game, whether it's running, whether it's fielding, whether it's hitting. And I think that's important. So I too was impressed with his, with the limited bats we've seen already. And I hope it's a good thing, for a sign of good things to come and something where he could be more consistent and stay healthy this year, because again, health has been, I think, his biggest L so far to the organization.
Yeah, absolutely. We've yet to see a full season where Joe Adell's healthy. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of people who have given up on him. I mean, I know your fiance is on that list, and she's not alone. We get a lot of people in the YouTube comments who are like, "Oh, cut him, trade him, we'll DFA him, whatever the case is." Here's the thing. The Angels have just put in way too much in the Joe Adell basket. But unfortunately for him, this truly is his opportunity to figure it out, or the Angels have to let him go. He's out of options.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
he either makes this roster or they got to trade him for peanut scraps or literal nacho cheese shit
Yeah.
out of Paul Sorrento's asshole, because that's all you're going to get out of an unproven, fallen out prospect who hasn't really had a lick of success in the majors for a sustainable period of time. So unfortunately, he's got to figure it out. I'm really cheering for the kid. I really, really am. We need him to work out.
Yeah, we do. We do, because I mean, at this point, in a trade, you're right. He'd be a throw-in, but again, he'd be worse than that if he's outplayed by Hicks. He's never going to make it here, and maybe there's a slight chance he could pick it up somewhere else. But this is a do or die season for him, and he has to absolutely not only just stay healthy, but I'm not saying he needs to ball out and could be a triple crown hitter, but he just, like you said, needs to put up decent numbers and be a reliable hitter. I mean, people forget Garrett Anderson didn't turn into Garrett Anderson overnight. It took him a little bit before he found his power, before he found his 100 RBI season. For a couple seasons there, 2 or 3, when he finally got the playing time, was a 16 home run, 56 RBI type guy, 275 hitter. So he progressed, but you got to put that resume together. And so far, his resume is not much to look at.
So another guy who I want to talk about in spring so far, very early on in the spring, Mike Trout's had 4 at-bats. What are you hoping to see out of Mike Trout this spring training? I'm sure it's exactly what I'm looking at too.
I just want to see not that aggressive swinging out of his shoes type at bats, not the uppercut golf swing. I want to see him more straightforward, put the barrel on the bat, because he's got the strength to where even if he's not trying to uppercut, he makes contact, it's going over the fence, or it's gonna bust off the wall or hit the gap. Like we need to see the Mike Trout. I can rip a double down the line. I can hit one to the gap. I could put one over the outfielder's head and off the wall. We need that Mike Trout as well as the one that hits the home runs. And we haven't seen that kind of doubles hitter for a while now, or singles hitter, or a guy who, we have second and third. Don't try to hit the ball over the fence. Maybe just hit a ground ball to the right side. Maybe it squeezes through and you score that run either way if you're thrown out. That type of hitter.
What I want to see out of Mike Trout this year is his ability to catch up to the fastball.
There you go.
Last year, we did see him struggle catching up with a fastball. You said it on the post-game shows many times before his injury. He was behind a lot of them. We saw it in the World Baseball Classic against Shohei Otani in that final at-bat. And you know what? That's a little unfair, right? Shohei Otani was throwing 103 miles an hour. That's a hard fastball to catch up to. I don't care who you are. Mike Trout is one of the best of the best. But lately, Mike Trout has had the bulk of his success with breaking balls down at the kneecaps and below. So I want to see him, exactly like you said, make solid contact, drive the ball down the line, get to second base, extend some at-bats, have good at-bats. If Mike Trout doesn't get a single hit all spring training, but he's catching up to the fastballs, he's hitting the ball hard, and they keep catching it, you know what? I don't care. That's the thing with spring training. Mm-hmm. People look at some numbers. People get obsessed with wins and losses. All that matters is performances, right? All that matters is, Griffin Canning last year, for example, struggling with the split finger fastball down and in. All you're going to do this spring is you're going to go out there and throw the split finger down and in. And that's why some guys get lit up. And people are like, oh my God, Reed Detmers gave up 12 runs. Okay, but what you don't know is that Ron Washington said, hey, Reed Detmers, we looked at some of your tapes over the last week. You really were struggling at curveballs. I want you to throw nothing but curveballs. And they'll throw nothing but breaking pitches. And that's normal. That's the thing. That's what spring training is for. It's not always about looking sexy. It's not always about the stats. It's about working on what you need to work on. You know what? Right now, I'm only swinging at fastballs up in the zone because I can't hit those. That's what you're working on this spring.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You bring up a good point right there, because as much, my dad's been a baseball fan forever since his team was in the PCL. And I just love the fact that he's forgotten more baseball than I know. And still, to this day, he still gets frustrated in spring training when he should know more than anybody. Like you just said, there could be a game where Ron Washington says, hey, Ben Joyce, curveball, lay off the fastball, lay off your, I don't want to see any I want to see how good your curveball has movement. If it gets hit for 5 or 6 runs, it gets hits for 5 or 6 runs, because we've seen that. We've seen it. I've seen it many a times. Like, that's why nobody cares about wins and losses in preseason or spring training. And then when it gets to, I'd say, the last week or so, maybe 2 weeks of spring training, that's when you start to see guys fine tune themselves. But they've mostly been throwing their bread and butter in the off season. They want to try out that new pitch. They want to try out that new movement. And so you'll see a lot of that in spring, and maybe guys get off to a good start because they're trying their new stuff, or they crap the bed because they're trying their new stuff.
Exactly. But that's what spring is for.
Yeah.
Griffin Canning was the first true starting pitcher we've seen. We did see Kenny Rosenberg start one of the split squad. And, he's a guy that might be competing for some spot starts. But I still don't think that Kenny, especially with all the left-handers, is going to be cracking the starting rotation.
If I could break in real quick, though,
Sure.
to follow that up, Fernando.
Uh-huh.
Kenny Rosenberg, he's exactly what you just said. But if you know as well as I know, if we see him at any point this season, the Angels are going to be in trouble, right?
Yeah, and I like Kenny, good dude,
Yeah.
hardworking dude. We know that. But with how many lefties we have, if we're in a situation where we're running Kenny Rosenberg out there every 5th day, bearing anything crazy happening, it's probably because of injuries.
Yep.
Right. But once again, man, this is one of those years where I have zero expectations going in. I just want to see the young guys perform, and Kenny's one of those guys. When he comes up here for a spot start, I want him to succeed. Griffin Canning was our first true starter who's expected to make the rotation. Came in, got his first 2 innings of spring, gave up 4 hits, so a little rough, but nothing was earned. He even got a strikeout. What do you expect out of Griffin Canning this year? What are you hoping to see out of his entire 2024?
Well, obviously, I mean, with every Angel player, because we are cursed, Indian Burial Ground or not, I want to see health. I want to see a consistent, I'm not on the 15-day IL. I want to see that from him, first and foremost. And 2, I'm hoping that we have numbers from Griffin Canning like a 13-9 record and a 3.79 ERA. I'd be good with that. Double-digit wins, a 3.79 ERA, close to 200 innings, maybe 165, 170. I'd be good with that.
Yeah, this is a guy that I want to take the next step. He's been around the league for a little while. He made his debut on April 30th, 2019 against the Blue Jays. I was there at that game. He looked really good that game. Unfortunately, since then, he's battled health issues.
Mm-hmm.
This is a guy who's only had roughly 60 decisions of his 67. He has a 19-21 win-loss record. So he's pretty close to being a 500 pitcher. Problem with him has always been staying healthy. And when people are having issues staying healthy, they tend to have issues staying consistent, right? Because they come in there, they have to constantly remodel themselves because, maybe you tweaked your arm this way last time. So now maybe you have to change your arm slot. So if you're consistently having to make adjustments, you're having to redefine yourself as a pitcher. So the best thing that can happen for Griffin Canning is for him to have one season where he has the ability to truly understand what kind of a pitcher he is in the major leagues. There's some guys like Blake Snell, walks a ton of guys, but you know what? For whatever reason, they tend to get lucky and they seem to get out of those situations. Guys like Griffin Canning do walk a lot of guys as well, but he gets in a lot of trouble.
He does. And let me ask you this, Fernando. Bringing up that I've got to put together a consistent season, sort of like a Joe Adell. The resume is not much. Sandoval was like that up until last year when he got the World Baseball Classic behind him. He didn't have the best year last year, but he showed flashes of brilliance. If you are a pitching coach, Fernando, of the Angels, do you give a rousing speech at some point before opening day saying, this is your, one of you guys in this rotation is going to step up, and I need the rest of you, including the guy who's going to step up, to take the bull by the horns and take that next step, because now the spotlight is not on a certain somebody. It could be yours if you want it. Do you see them saying something like that and the pitchers responding? Because this is a year maybe where we could see better numbers for once from this entire rotation.
This is a year where the coaching staff has to tell these guys, okay, this is the first year in 15-ish years, 20 years where there was no expectations from an Angels club. Say what you want, but since the early 2000s, since the Angels won the dance in 2002, the expectation has always been to contend.
Yeah.
Even after the last time we had legitimate playoff success, 2009. That was the last time the Angels had a legitimate chance of winning a World Series. After that, the 2010 teams, 2011, 2012 especially, because they got Pujols, they got C.J. Wilson. Those teams were all expected to contend. They made the playoffs in 2014, were one of the best regular season teams in baseball that year, got bounced out of the playoffs. And even after that, 15, 16, 17, 18, etc., all those teams were expected to contend. Yep. This is the first year, probably for a lot of the people who are listening to this podcast, that the Angels are not expected to contend. They're expected to go out there and let the kids play. There's nothing wrong with that per se. But this is the year that those guys, the Sandovals, the Detmers, should want to be the pieces that this rotation needs for years to come. Because the Angels are in a situation where if these guys suck, trade them to get whatever you can for them. But if these guys want to prove that they belong in this rotation or any other rotation, this is the time. They don't have the dark cloud of Otani anymore. They don't have to change every other week because Otani wants to pitch on Tuesday, not Thursday, because he's got Pilates Wednesday morning. Or
he doesn't want to pitch a day game.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think that's beautifully said. I think Angel fans are going, if nothing changes, this could be like an early 2000s Pirates team, or again, if you're a Pirates fan and you're listening to the show for some reason, you remember those days, or even after they made their playoff run, they rebuilt the whole team again. You like you said, you let the kids play, and you have zero expectations. And with a division now, again, which is in years past, it's always been told to us, Fernando, that, we're just a player or two missing. We're a pitcher or two missing. We're going to contend, when we needed a lot more than just that. And injuries held us back too. And we were never really contending with the teams above us. Now we know, flat out, we're not going to contend with the teams above us. It's going to take a miracle or another Disney movie for us to get into the postseason. But I think we're all fine with that if we see the process and if we see the maturation of these young players and these other players who have been here a couple years but just haven't took that next step. If they take the next step, I think we can all be winners out of this if we're seeing this team collectively come together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't buy this whole this is a silent rebuild. What kind of Mickey Mouse organization crap is that? Silent rebuilds don't exist. Okay, you're in a rebuild or you're not.
Yep.
So I don't mind the Angels not making any major moves this offseason. Did they improve the bullpen? Sure. Has the bullpen been a very big thing missing? Sure.
Yep.
I've got no problem with that, and that's fine. I have no problem with the Angels not doing anything, but you can't call this a rebuild. You can't call this a silent rebuild, because at the end of the day, like I've already told you, the Angels have, 3 core pieces, maybe 4 if you want to throw Moniak out there, because some people do, some people don't. That's not a hard rebuild. If there's a hard rebuild, then you're going to have to really, really tear it down. You're going to have to get rid of your Detmers, your Sandovals, those kind of guys, your Wards. But I am finally excited to not have any expectations and just watch baseball for once, right?
Yeah.
There's no, we're losing. And that might make doing this podcast a little bit more fun. Doing this podcast in August when the Angels have lost their 14th straight or whatever, that's not fun. But the Angels have lost 4 straight. They've been competing. They've been losing 3-2, 2-4, that kind of thing. The young guys are performing. Maybe they're just, shy of the big hit. I can live with that kind of stuff as long as there's progress being made in these guys' ability. Is Neto still nails at shortstop? He's doing a good job defensively. Is Ohapi truly emerging as a young star in baseball? Great. These are the kind of things I'm looking for. Sandoval, Demers, are these young guys getting more consistent? It's August. Canning's still healthy. Thank sweet baby Jesus. All of that stuff is going to be pivotal into making Angels baseball bearable and, dare I say, enjoyable to watch this year.
Absolutely. Like, say, for instance, for me too, like if Seth is pitching better than we thought he would, if Sandoval, say, for instance, the Angels in 8 games, right? They have an 8-game stretch where they lose 3. It's Sandoval's turn. He takes the ball, stops the bleeding. The team loses 3 more. He gets the ball again and stops the bleeding. And all of a sudden, we could look at the last 2 starts of Sandoval and be like, hey, that dude's a stopper. That's our stopper right there. He's turning into something. Little like rays of sunshine like that, or Adell having like a 15-game hitting streak, and stuff like that. You can ignore the losses because, again, they're, like you said, they're competing. They're playing hard every night. They're giving it their all. They may not have the best talent versus the team they're playing, but damn it, they're showing up. And I think that's what we've been not seeing since Socha left. Let's just be honest.
Of course.
We haven't seen it from Madden's side with his lackluster, hey, dude, let's smoke weed. And we never saw it from Numbnuts Nevin either. So, this to me actually has me excited, but like you said, with no expectations. It's a weird feeling, right?
It is. And, the last thing I'll say about the young guys, aces nowadays, this isn't the days of the Yankees that we remember when we were kids.
Mm-hmm.
Aces nowadays are built. You really can't buy an ace these days.
True.
You can in some cases, but
Garrett
most, Cole. Garrett Cole. But what other team has bought an ace lately that's been successful? Look at the Mets. They tried buying Verlander coming off of Cy Young, coming off of, his bounce back season. Didn't work out for them. Max Scherzer, they did the same thing. Didn't work out for them. The Padres tried that with a couple guys.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't work out for them. Marcus Stroman with the Cubs originally. The point is, it's really hard nowadays to buy an ace and for them to work out. Most aces are built, developed, and they turn into that dude. Look at Jared Weaver in his prime. Came up as an Angel, turned into that dude. They didn't buy him. They grew him.
Yep.
Same thing goes for a lot of stars in baseball. It's hard to get a star and keep them a star. Look at the Marlins. They built Giancarlo Stanton. The Yankees were like, hey, we want that guy like they used to do. Mm-hmm. Hasn't really been that great as a Yankee consistently in his career.
No, he's been a strikeout king.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say that Mookie Betts has fallen flat on his face, but he's certainly had moments as a Dodger where he hasn't been Mookie Betts. Look at the playoffs. That was a big one. I mean, the 2021 season, was it? I don't think that was incredible by him. I had to look at the numbers, but, So everyone's excited that Shohei Otani's gone to the Dodgers. Will he be good? Will he not? I'm not sure. Obviously, we have to give Otani the benefit of the doubt because he has no reason. We have so far no reason to not give him the benefit of the doubt. But the days of buying talent, it just doesn't exist anymore, folks. So hopefully some of these guys will learn that and,
for a future show,
rise up.
To play off what you're saying, when it comes to Otani, because we will be checking on our X, what does $700 million, although deferred for the most part, but he's still on paper a $700 million for 10 years player, $70 million a year. What does that actually equate to in offense? What if he only is ripping 26 home runs and 85 RBIs and batting 270? Is that worth $70 million to you?
I mean, I don't know if it is as a fan, but I mean, of course, for the marketing side of things, it is, right? If you're looking at it as a business. For the record, I looked it up. I was right. Mookie Betts in 2021 batted 264. His on-base percentage was 367. Guy gets on base. Can't take that away from him. He does. And then in 2022, batted 269. All right.
Yeah.
Hey, but it's all right. In 2023, he batted 307. Good for Mookie. Don't look at his playoff numbers from that year.
Yeah, well, just like every other
He hasn't
Dodger.
got as much hits as he did last year in the playoffs.
Just like every other Dodger. He's a true Dodger last year where it all got, glory in the regular season and nothing in the postseason. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, the guy was a 301 career hitter with the Red Sox. As a Dodger, he's a 282 hitter. Mm-hmm. There's a difference there for sure.
And you would think with that kind of lineup around him, guys' numbers would inflate, but it's actually gone the opposite way. Like averages have gone way down at that. I don't know what kind of curse Dodger Stadium has, but guys don't go there
The
really.
curse of kicking out Latinos and making them homeless.
Well,
I
see,
could say that.
Freddie Freeman's the only, yeah, I can't, but Freddie Freeman is the only dude that I've seen that's actually put up really good offensive numbers and being able to carry it into Dodger Stadium. Usually most guys that come over to Dodger Stadium for whatever reason, their numbers just fall flat on their face.
Well, there's a couple of guys, you got Justin Turner. He was a nobody with the Mets, made a pretty good career there. Max Muncy was nobody with the Athletics, which surprising, right? And then he went over to the Dodgers and figured it out. So you have a couple of exceptions, but then you got guys like Chris Taylor, right? He was a Dodger, they re-signed him, and now he's booty cheeks.
Yeah.
There's old episodes if you tune in where I was like, we need to get Chris Taylor.
Well, I'm glad we didn't move that one.
Yeah, glad they didn't listen to me that time.
So that being said, I think we covered most of the stuff which has gone on here in the team side of things. First few games, I wanted to get to what you saw before you left back to the Lone Star State. You made a trip to the good old team store at Anaheim Stadium. What exactly did you see, my friend?
Yeah, so my girlfriend and I, last day we were in California. We went to the Big A on President's Day. And, typical, your gift shop was open from 9 to 5. I tried going to Monday Night Raw that day because I really wanted to go because it was in town. Good thing I didn't. The show was pretty boring. I watched part of it in the hotel. I was like, oh, this is a bad episode of Raw.
Plus, you were like, the tickets were too expensive. I saw that. I was like, yeah.
I wanted to go. The cheapest ticket was like, at one point, was like $230.
Yeah.
I was looking on Game Time, 714 tickets, you name it, trying to find a deal. And, never even came close to dipping under like 150. Anyway, so we went to the gift shop, and it's really weird. We walked in. We were immediately greeted. Hi, guys. Welcome to Angel Stadium gift shop. Standing at the cash register facing the front door. They're like, anything on this side, which was the left side, if you're looking at the cash register, of the gift shop, everything on this side is 30% off. Everything on this side, regular price. What you see on the tag is, what you want. If it has that orange dot on it, that means it's 30% off on this side, just in case things get mixed in. I was like, okay, great, thanks. So naturally, I walked over there and I was like, it's going to be Otani, right? Naturally, that's what you're expecting. My friend, I did not see a single Shohei Otani item for 30% off. Let me make one thing clear. I mean this when I say it, because I have not worn a single Shohei Otani item, and I will not wear it until he retires. Once he retires, maybe I can wear it again because it'll be a cool throwback item in like 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't have bought it if it was 90% off. But the Otani stuff was all full price.
Wow.
Everything, full price. City Connect Otani jerseys, T-shirts, hats. If you want something showing Otani, you are paying full price. And somebody on Twitter, because I tweeted about it, on the Halos in the Infield account, follow us if you don't already, tweeted us and said that they invented something in Angel Stadium called the MVP section. So everything in that section is all Angels MVP items. So it comes from a previous member of the Angels that was an MVP winner, and that's why they justify that it's full price. Okay, but here's the failure in that. I saw no Vladimir Guerrero stuff in that bin, and there sure is. Hell, wasn't any Don Baylor stuff in there. I'll tell you that much. I saw some Trout stuff, sure. And I saw some Otani stuff. The 30% off section was, I would say, 35% Mike Trout items, surprisingly. I did buy a couple of Mike Trout t-shirts. I got a hoodie. I got like a zip-up jacket that was half off. And then my girlfriend, she bought me the zip-up. And then she bought me this long-sleeve Angels shirt with the A on it, the lowercase A with the halo on it.
Okay, yeah.
And that was cool. And it was not my size, but if there's anyone who's a double XL, there was like 4 or 5 long-sleeve baby blue Angel safety pin long-sleeve shirts.
Not bad.
Like 5 or 6 of them, and they were like $27 for a long-sleeve shirt. And this is the only safety pin A stuff I've seen in a long time.
2 questions. Sure. Okay, because I know we've talked about this before. you know, we believe that there should be more Angels gear up there from past players.
Of course.
I think it would have been much better to see, like you said, Don Baylor, Rod Carew. Well, you know, those won't happen, like you said. Nolan Ryan, Vladimir Guerrero. But you only so. My question to you, one question is, with them removing Otani's face, obviously from the front of the stadium, how do they have the nerve to still be selling his merchandise inside?
How do they still have the nerve to be selling his merchandise full price?
Correct.
If you go in there and it's like 75% off, I get it, right? You gotta sell it. I get
yard sale type stuff, right?
Exactly. No, I wouldn't be saying it. I probably wouldn't have even brought it up because who cares?
Correct.
But like you said, the fact that they immediately, like within like an hour or two of this announcement, they started removing the Otani portrait in the front of the stadium. And then when you walk inside, I mean, you would still think he's on the team.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
I saw one person that had an Otani City Connect jersey.
Oh,
man. Yeah, and what was it, $180? Yeah, I mean, that's how much they are, right?
Yeah, that's what they go for, because usually the ones on Fanatics are about 110. And so
yeah, it was like 180 or so.
Yeah. Here's something I want to bring up, that because you reminded me of something, to our friends up north in Oakland. And I don't know if you saw this the other day, but over the weekend they had a fan fest put on by the fans who invited former players to come down, and they were signing autographs. They had bands, they had their own food, all fan brought together and organized. I don't think the Angels can come together or have a, like, we still have too much propaganda, Prime Minister AM 830 pushing positivity on this organization to where we don't have a common goal, like an enemy like they do up north. I think you still have your people that defend Artie. I would have loved to, I think you brought it up last time, the last fan fest you went to with the Angels. I can't remember the last one, dude. I still can't. And it's a shame that this team doesn't have one, being a so-called big market. I only bring that up because I just wish the fans would put something together too, and we can come together and do something and show that we really care about this organization.
I don't think we'd have as many people show up as they did in Oakland. Sorry.
Well, absolutely.
In all fairness, there's more to do in Orange County than there is in Oakland. I mean, what are you going to do in Oakland?
Dodge bullets.
Yeah, exactly.
And try to keep your car from being jacked.
I don't exactly know why the organization doesn't do it. I mean, I think it's just more of a middle finger to the fans. I mean, you can say, well, maybe FanFest just don't make a lot of money. I don't believe that either. If people are having a good time, people spend money. That's how it works.
That's true.
When people are entertained, they're having a good time with their family, they'll pay whatever. I'm sure you've probably been victim of that, right? You go maybe to like a carnival or something, you got the kids, the grandkids, whatever, hey, buy me this, buy me that. And you guys are all laughing, having a good time. You're not even thinking about it. Whatever, here you go.
Well, yeah, you go in as a father with a budget, like, we'll spend 45 today. And then it's like, oh, we spent 145.
Yeah. No, that's fun. That happens no matter what.
Yeah.
I don't even know why I try, but, yeah, exactly. So people, if they're having a good time at things like FanFest, they'll spend the money and people will come. I think if the team does something specifically, people would come. People came to the Fiesta Angels events. I don't mind those as much. That's kind of been our FanFest over the last decade, really. 2012, I think, was the last formal FanFest they had.
Or the Angels cruise.
Oh, yeah. You and I have laughed about that multiple times. And they've also done like the moving days. Those are always also kind of an unofficial fan fest. And I was okay with the Angels moving days. When they were like, well, you guys don't get a fan fest, but you get Angels moving day, I was okay with that. You had 3 players show up, sign some autographs. They had the Angels yard sale event for the Angels Foundation. They sold the last year's bobbleheads for $10. I was on board with all that. Loved it, You had the Angels Strike Force girls. You had the freaking Chevy would come and try to sell cars or whatever. It felt like FanFest to me.
Yeah, I mean, they could do something similar like that in the, under the Big A, maybe have some like, contest with, playing cornhole, like kids like fastest on the base pads. You could do stuff that's interactive. You could have popcorn, the whole carnival experience, like with food. And then, like you said, jerseys, giveaways, former players coming. Because look what happens when they do the red carpet, on opening day. They've done it, 2 years in a row?
I
That
thought
gets
last
a
year was the
huge,
first year.
or was it the last year? Okay.
I think
Well,
last year was the first year. I could be
I
wrong.
think they're doing it again this year. And that
Yep.
brings a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people showed up for that. And that's just a red carpet. You incorporate the stuff you were talking about, what I'm talking about, you can make it an all-day event. And again, if you're raising it for charity or you're doing it for the team or just publicity, it works. And it makes the Angel fans feel like we're one, but we've talked to, a few fans that have been pissed off about how they treat season ticket holders. And it's just, there's too much of that stuff. And like I said before, I wish there was more unity within the Angels organization of fans to be like, hey man, we have a common goal here. We want this team to win, and we also want Artie out. And I think that would bring people together. But the propaganda prime minister, Roger Lodge, is working overtime to keep us separate.
Well, hopefully his contract's going to run out.
No. Did you hear the news?
Oh, no. One more year?
No. He signed a 3-year deal.
Oh.
So check this out. I brought this up.
3 more years.
I brought
more years.
I brought this up with the other. So a WNBA player, the lowest salary or the base salary, I think, is $67,000 a year, right?
Okay.
And that's for like 26 games, and that's not including playoffs. So Roger Lodge does a 3-hour dog and pony show, mostly filler, all this other stuff. His first year.
I go to Morongo and go to Morongo, and here's the 5 facts about Morongo. If you go there, they'll blow water in your asshole if you're a VIP member, and go there and get some dollar tacos.
Now, I know we did the top 5 at 5 stories, but we're going to do the top 5 at 6 now. We're going to repeat that whole 30-minute segment again. So
top 5 at 3, the top 5 at 4.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, the first year of his contract, he's going to be making $107,000. And then the second year bumps up to 118, and then the third year it's 135.
He said all that on the air?
That was all released in the public release. Was it? They have to post it. So the press release, yeah. So he gets a 3-year deal.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Must be good to be Roger.
Yeah, Roger Lodge is living off of AM 830 and also blind date residuals.
Yeah, blind date residuals, AM 830. No wick for him.
Not at all. He's living the good life, man.
Yeah, right. He's going to get the fancy toupee this year. None of that comb over, spray paint the bald spot in the back of the head. He's getting the good toupee this time.
He doesn't need to spray paint. He's getting the spray tan. That's what he's getting.
Oh, there you go. There you go. No, Tom, this is not a toupee. This is not a toupee.
It's the golden lodge.
The golden lodge. What do I use to comb my hair and a product in my jail? Let's just say it's from John Stamos and it's all natural. Oh. Love that mayonnaise.
Oh, that's nasty. That is nasty. Well, I think that'll do it for our show as we get into John Stamos and Roger Lodge.
Oh, I guess in closing, for anybody who's wondering, spying on our exes, quick segment. Ty Buttrey for Seattle, 1 inning pitched. He struck out 2 batters on the fastballs.
That's right. I know you wanted to bring that up. I almost forgot.
Yeah, what did he bring up every time he pitches? I was just,
Yeah. What did he do in his what is it called, the simulated game? Because I know you were showing us highlights of that.
Oh yeah. He was texting me some videos of the simulated game, and I texted it over to you. And that knuckle curve looked just like it did in 2019. Looked like he's starting to get it down again. But yeah, I know a lot of our audience, people like him. Whenever he comes on the show, the comments, you see people are like, "Oh, Ty's the man," blah 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 blah. So, people like him. So, figure out and let you guys know in case you guys missed it. He's pitching again on Friday.
And you know what? I will tell you this. I don't believe in collusion. There shouldn't be that in any kind of sport, but we need some collusion when he faces us. Because if he makes that team, text your boy and tell him to please be a little easier on our younger hitters, please.
Maybe he could just pretend like he's like hurt that day.
Yeah, exactly. That'll work.
Oh,
That'll
you got a hangnail.
He's got
You got a blister.
Yeah.
You got a blister. Otani's told me that you can't pitch for at least 4 weeks. Remember his rookie year when he kept getting shelled like the Red Sox? Like, oh, he's got a blister. He's got a blister.
Yep.
He did have a blister. I remember. It was a very gnarly looking blister. I'll say that.
Yeah, it looked like he had a flesh-eating bacteria, but I will say this about Otani though. Good luck. I'm really want to, we won't see it this season, but next season, I want to see if he'll pitch in Atlanta and New York when it's really humid, in Philly. I want to see if he's going to make those starts in those day games in Wrigley. You know what I mean? Like I got to see that. And then with a unbalanced schedule, he'll be playing those American League teams still. So will he face Boston in Boston, or will he skip those starts? That's what I want to see.
Well, we'll see also because, obviously the Major League considers Shohei Otani one of their toys, right? I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, like, hey, that's one of the golden boys.
Yep.
The NBA has their toys. The NFL has their toys. And, those are their guys. So Shohei Otani is a golden boy in the sport, rightfully so. He deserves it. He's the most talented baseball player any of us have ever seen. We can't argue that. So with that being said, the MLB is going to want him to make those key starts, when it's Shohei Otani versus Garrett Cole, on a Sunday night in August, right? Like, hey, that's Sunday Night Baseball because that's good for ratings. Maybe in the past, the Angels, you should try to save him from those kind of games. And you can't say it's not true because they would. We did see it. Obviously, not every time. I'm not going to say, yeah, he did face the Yankees. He did face the Red Sox. But a lot of the times, they would protect him from those and put him against the Athletics. We've seen that too.
Oh yeah, because he when he did face the Yankees, I think 2 times. I don't think he made it either game out of New York Stadium past the first inning, second inning maybe. So
one of those games was the one where Jared Walsh got that grand slam, like right after the
comeback,
against Chapman.
Mm-hmm.
He started that game and he did really bad.
Yeah, he didn't make it out of the first inning, and the Angels are down big time, and then they wound up rallying. So
yeah, I remember John Boy Media was at that. And by the way, John Boy, for listening, fuck you.
I hope he's listening. That'd be great.
Yeah, I know he's not, but your content's trash. Always has been.
Yeah. Please tag us so someone make a clip of that and send it to him. That'd be great. I might as well.
That way you can avoid that too.
We're teammates, so fuck you, John Boy.
Never liked him. I never liked it. I never thought his stuff was that funny. And now that they have that, what is it, Wake and Jake or whatever? I don't know. They probably changed the name of it by now. Ugh.
Yeah, not a fan either. Well, with that being said, this has been Todd Fox along with
the Lone Star Halo
saying, fuck you, John Boy. We'll catch you on the flip side.